We certainly feel chosen for her. There was not a, we feel like she was ours from the beginning, like we were made to be her parents, that there was a specific moment where that happened before we even realized what was happening.
Hi, I'm Ben Balk.
I'm Shauna Balk.
And we have a family of 5, us 2, our oldest is Alex, and then Blair, and then Bailey. I grew up in Algona, Iowa, where I was born. We moved around Iowa a little bit, and then when I was 10 years old, we moved to the state of Missouri, and we lived there all our lives up until about a year and a half ago when we moved to California.
And I was born in Kentucky, but moved to Missouri. Actually, our family moved to Missouri the same year Ben's family moved to Missouri, just ironically. And so we pretty well grew up there until we moved to California about a year and a half ago. Ben and I went to high school together. We didn't really know each other, but he was the star football player. He was the quarterback of our football team, and they won state championship and all of that. So everybody knew who Ben was, and so we had classes, and we kind of knew of each other, but we didn't date until college. My freshman year, his sophomore year, I was actually his little sister's babysitter, and so we reconnected through that, and first date was a football game to the University of Missouri. We dated for almost 5 years before we got married, which is 17 years ago when we got married. So my job is, I work for St. Raymond's Society, and we have homes in Missouri and now in California as well, where moms who are struggling to raise their children or even make a decision to choose life over an abortion would come and get their feet on the ground and figure out how to live life well with their children and raise their family in a healthy, safe environment. And so our homes do that. So we coach them, we walk with them until they're ready to stand on their own 2 feet. And I've been with St. Raymond's about 6 years now.
I'm the executive pastor and head of school at New Hope Church and Academy. And so I oversee our school, which is preschool through 5th grade. But I also run the business side of the church for New Hope Church.
So how did this adoption start? So we have 2 kids, obviously, that are large gaps in age, but even though, we knew we weren't finished parenting, we just felt really strongly that God had not finished with us yet, but biologically we were finished having children. And so we started foster parenting, and we had 7 children in our home that came and went for various reasons, from newborns to 4 years old. And then Bailey came along in that process. So honestly, we started out as her foster parents, and we weren't necessarily expecting her to stay to join our family forever, but that was certainly God's plan, and we recognized that not too long into the process. But frankly, when she was born and they called us for placement, is what they call it, we just showed up at the hospital and we were ready to take her on. She wasn't very healthy when she was born, so she needed some time to get healthy before she could come home. But once she did, we loved her. We were with her through the whole process, and it was just a miracle that she got to stay and we got to be her parents.
When we started foster care, it was, people always ask us, how can you give the kids back? Don't you build such a relationship with them? Like, how hard is that? And we took it as a different approach to foster care, and a lot of people that get into that are to adopt. And we went into it really with the heart of, this is what God's asking us to do, to serve these kids. And so while they're in our home, we'll love them and treat them with just like we would our own kids. And so we provided that atmosphere, and we just felt like that was our calling to do, was to serve these kids, not to adopt them. That wasn't what we felt like God was asking us to do. So we rooted for the parents to get their lives together. As Christians, we felt like that was appropriate for us to do, is to ensure that these kids go back home by providing the best atmosphere for the kids. So when we got Bailey, it was, the situation worked out where she was for us to adopt, and we felt that was God saying, I'm gifting her to you because you had served well. And so that was at least that's where I feel like God's hand was on this all along. One of the funny questions they asked us when we were preparing for the adoption, they brought us in to ask us questions about just the longevity of it. Basically, one of the questions was, would there ever be a circumstance that you could foresee where you would want to give her back? And we looked at each other and thought, give her back? Like, I didn't even know that was an option. That just
like,
seems
that was absurd.
like you go through all this, and you love this child, that you've bonded so much that I don't see how there would ever be. It's an unconditional love. We didn't go into this saying you had to do certain things to be loved in our family. That's just not how we do it. And so we found that really interesting. We were never scared because, again, go back to what I said earlier. We knew that this was an appointment by God that she would join our family.
Mm-hmm. Her journey, she was with us from the day that she was born. Even though we didn't get to call her by her legal name, her name didn't change until she was 3 years old. But she was in our home from her first day, and so that was really special. But she came home, and we just raised her the best that we could. We took great care of her. She blended right in. We have kind of a big family, and so even as everything went through the process, and the process took far longer than most children in foster care, but we just kind of stayed the course with it, and she's never known anything different. She's not typical of foster children in that regard. She's never had a day in anyone else's home. She's never called anyone else mom or dad, and we just believe that that's because she was made to be ours.